Hello friends, I must say that this episode is jam-packed with a lot of information, a lot of cool things, so please do stick around. And I want to say thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. This community is great, and I couldn't do it without you guys. I couldn't do it without your support. Enjoy. Welcome to today's video, and yes, we're standing next to trash cans. Why? Because today's video is actually very special. We're going to the outskirts of Irkutsk to an old dump site, and we're going to see what people have made out of this trash to what is now, I guess, like a trash museum, Senya?
Yes.
It's like a trash museum. We're gonna have to check it out so you can see what it's like. I've never been there, and it is a very appropriate location here as well because behind us there's a beautiful graffiti of Baikal. I'll show you right now what it looks like, and then we'll get on our way. Look at that. It's beautiful, right? Baikal. Nice little lady on the side with a rose on her hat. Really appropriate. And now that you've seen the scenes here from these trash cans, we're going to take you to the dump site. Let's go. Just to clarify, this is still a working dump site. I didn't know that until I got there. All right, we made it inside, and the cost is 350 rubles per person. And from the looks of it, I think you're going to be impressed. Let's turn the camera around. There seems to be some sort of guards at the entrance. You got these buses, Soviet-style art on them. There's really so many things that we're going to be looking at today, but we'll take the time to look at things in detail. This is an iconic Maxim gun from Soviet era. You can see it's mounted on some old carriage. It's pretty funny actually. But this is very Soviet, very well known. For anybody who knows any history, it's a very used Soviet weapon during the Second World War especially. There's a lot of these patriotic vehicles all over the place. It's really, really nice to see. As I'm walking around, I'm starting to notice that this seems like it's some sort of battlefield here in front of me. It's really, really cool. You have these transformer things behind me, but the main thing is probably here in front of us. There seems to be a lot of kind of German style vehicles and Soviet style vehicles, and I think that you're really going to enjoy this. So there's these like Terminator type things and Transformer stuff. But look at this. This is being played out as some sort of German versus Soviet battle here. We're going to explore the battle zone further once we finish looking at what's on the other side here, where Ksenia is walking towards these Terminator things. Look at this. It's a big vehicle. We have the Terminator robots. And over here on this side, it looks like Alien versus Predator is happening. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Check this out. For anybody that knows or likes Alien and Predator movies, this is an entire Alien versus Predator battle scene. Look at that. And so it seems that the dump museum is set up into different themes. This corner is Alien versus Predator, but here on the other side it seems to be some sort of night battle. A lot of things have to do with like conflict and wars. This over here looks kind of like a chess piece. Look. Here you have the White Army versus the Knights in black. Oh, it's orcs. Oh, it's orcs, guys. It's orcs. Let's take a closer look. Look at these guys. Oh, that's hilarious. So it's the dark orcs versus the white knights. It's an army versus an army. You have some sort of blasts going off in the background. I guess there may be some role-playing or demolition going on to make things a little bit more realistic. Now, I would say that this is definitely some sort of battlefield from the Second World War, because like behind us is a lot of German marked vehicles, and in front of me there's a lot of Soviet vehicles. There's also some sort of practice range, some guys shooting blanks, so you can come to this place and shoot blanks. If you guys have seen the special camping operation that I had with Survival Russia, Lars, this I think is basically the vehicle that he also has. This one looks a little bit more purposed for some sort of engineering work, like it has a lot of side compartments and extra lights and stuff like this. This one might be a little bit more modern than Lars's, but it's definitely the same vehicle. It runs on tracks. So Lars, as you say, this is awesome. Here we have the little brother or the older brother of your vehicle out here in the, like, I guess it's a dump museum. Inside the museum, there's also some sort of arsenal. These are weapons built all the way from early Russian times to Soviet times. There's even old swords that probably Cossacks used to expand Russia into the Far East. This looks like a automatic grenade launcher, like we have the Mark 19. This might be the equivalent. They use it for mortars. Absolutely fascinating. These rounds seem to be for tank use. Tank rounds, maybe early tanks. So on one side we have the different weapons of the old Russian and Soviet Union. But what's more interesting for me, because of course I'm a United States Marine, what I truly love is the fact that I think the Marines have the best uniform. But since I've came to Russia, I've noticed they have a lot of variants of what they use for their military. And on this wall, you get to see almost all types of different camouflage and dress uniforms. Here you have even Arctic gear, early Russian uniforms. Some of these uniforms I've seen in some old Soviet pictures. This is combat attire, flak jackets, different hats for different units. Check that out. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that some of these uniforms were used in the Afghanistan campaign because of the color of them, because it's a desert style camouflage or uniform. Let me know in the comment section if you know if some of these are time of Soviet Union in Afghanistan. I'm very interested in knowing. If you served in the Russian military, please do comment below which uniform you used. I would like to know what kind of uniforms you were using and what branch of service did you use, because according to what uniform you use, it's basically what branch and what your MOS is. And so this memorial is basically paying homage to the men and women, even children, who fought in the Great Patriotic War. There's a little television showing exactly what people were doing, building weapons, arming their people, feeding their people. A lot of things going on in the Great Patriotic War. And you can see these flags and the weapons and uniforms, just like we saw in the other building. There's newspapers from that generation, stuff like this, books that you would see. It's very, very unique. Something that is very unique, like I said, and amazing, is the amount of uniforms that the Russians had to show what unit they were in, what their MOS was, what branch of the military they were in. And, you know, the amount of uniforms is great because it just shows maybe some people came from another part of Russia and you would be able to tell who they are just by the uniform they were wearing. And speak of the devil, look who we have here. Soviet. It doesn't get any more Soviet than this. Look, it's your boy Stalin and all his friends during the great Soviet times. Look at this. Wow, look, different types of mortar rounds, different types of munitions. You know that Russia is a great artillery powerhouse, and I think they take pride in the power they have in the artillery sector. There's never a shortage of memorials to the Great Patriotic War. We all know that the Soviet Union gave more than anyone else in the world when it came to defeating the Germans. This is the biggest reason why the Allies won. You can see that these are Jewish camps being liberated, and usually everybody thinks that the United States is the only country who was out there saving the world, but Russia was doing their part, the Soviet Union was doing their part, and it's not known in history because the people in the West want to make it seem like they saved the world from everything every time. This is not so. I want to send the message, and I want to make it clear that museums like this remind the people, especially you guys who are watching outside of Russia, the amount of men and manpower that the Soviet Union gave for the Great Patriotic War is beyond anything anybody can comprehend in the American or the Western high schools or whatever school you're learning the Second World War, the Great Patriotic War. It means the world to these people. So these museums are actually something where you can come and learn and actually appreciate what actually happened. We made it to the side that's showing the Marines and stuff like this. Very cool. I, as a Marine, really appreciate this guy right here. It looks like naval infantry. Correct me if I'm wrong, comment down below what kind of uniform this guy is wearing. But that's my boy. That's Igor. Here are some old naval ships for anybody who likes Navy things. If you like Soviet history and Soviet memorabilia, inside of this part of the museum, there's going to be tons of it. Now, a lot of this ranges from the beginning of Soviet times to the end of Soviet times, but it is an absolutely complete collection. These are perhaps some highly decorated people here on these photographs, and some of the medals they might have earned during their different campaigns. And here are some wheeled like infantry fighting vehicles, just something light. Behind it there's a collection of maybe real to non-real armored vehicles. Again, this place has a lot of really cool vehicles that are probably have been used and are now non-militarized. And so, like I was talking about, on this side you have the Germans basically attacking the Soviets on the other side. And we're going to work our way across the battlefield, showing some of these vehicles and some of these downed airplanes. This is basically the main attraction, I would say, of the entire museum, is this outdoor tank and different style of battle going on. I am aware that these vehicles are probably not, and I mean, there's no way these are the original things, right? These are made for this fake battle, and none of this is actually real. But it is just really cool to be standing here, because actually in Operation Barbarossa, something like this definitely happened. The Germans were definitely attacking the Russians in open fields like this with forests in the background. Now I'm going to give you the point of view of the German side, so you can just imagine how it was when they came storming through and basically betrayed the trust and the treaty that they had with Russia at the time. A lot of Russia is basically rolling hills with forests like these, and you had to imagine the Germans just lining up and with their infantry, their vehicles, and their airplanes like you see over there, just storming across the Western Front, Western for the Russians and the Eastern Front for the Germans, right? It is known as the Eastern Front overall, but this is how they were coming, just in mass numbers, storming through these open areas in their blitzkrieg. What you're hearing is there's a little range over there that lets you shoot blanks, lets you feel the power of the Russian weapons. I am totally safe standing on this side because they're shooting blanks. I mean, the sound is obviously not real, but even if it was a low caliber gun, I would be able to hear and distinguish if there was anything coming down range. And I'm speaking from experience. I know what it sounds like when projectiles are flying over your head and stuff like this. So again, I am totally safe. You're safe to walk in this open field, even though they're shooting those blanks. Just remember that. If you come and visit and you hear boom, boom, don't be scared. It's just blanks. People are just having fun trying out the weapons here at the museum. And we made it. We made it to this downed airplane, or supposed down airplane, which just adds to the realism of this fake battle going on here, because of course when the Germans attacked, they didn't attack just with armored vehicles, they didn't attack just with infantry. It is the airplanes that allowed the blitzkrieg to push so far into Europe. But they didn't really work when they came into Russia, because the Russians would just give ground, and there was so much territory that they obviously would have never been able to conquer it. These are the kind of things you'll definitely not see if you visit a museum in Germany, or I mean anywhere in Germany, or anywhere where the Axis lost. These swastikas are banned in all of Germany. There's no way that Germany would probably even show a memorial for the Second World War, unless it's to say sorry for the disaster that their previous government caused for the rest of the world. Now, I love Germany, but obviously there were some naughty people back in those times. And yeah, these scenes that you see here are probably only able to exist in Russia. The blanks are going off. There is, of course, again, people shooting fake rounds. Nothing to worry about, although it does trigger me a little bit. I see these weapons and these tanks, and it takes me back to a little bit to Afghanistan. Kind of wish I was there. And now we're moving from the German side, which we just walked across this field. We're moving into what looks like the Soviet side, and the Soviet side starts where there's the hedgehog, these hedgehog barricades, and the downed Soviet airplane. We're gonna go look at how their vehicles look and see what they have on their side. Ksenia is coming from the Soviet side, of course. She's born in the Soviet Union. She's a Soviet herself. But she's taking a picture of the German tank. So she's a traitor. And now we made it to the good side, the winning side. On this side, it appears to be some sort of a command center for the Soviet troops. And we're going to take a look at that. But comment down below if you're enjoying this. If you expected such a museum to exist out here next to a dump in the depths of Siberia. Right now, I'm inside of a trench that's about chest high. I'm going to give you the view of what it looks like when an enemy is coming towards you. You have to imagine on the Eastern Front, where the Germans were fighting the Russians, there was these trench systems all around until they had to retreat to major cities and fight in urban warfare. And so I'm in my trench right now, and we have some enemies coming towards us. Let's turn the camera around and show you what the enemy's looking like right now. We have Senya approaching the trench. You have to see, this is probably a crazy enemy, but it's not only an infantryman, guys. It's also an airplane, it's a tank, it's a vehicle. And if they get too close, you're done. You're done, so you'd have to surrender. And that's how this war was happening in the very beginning. It was the Germans doing their blitzkrieg through the flats of Russia until they hit a dead end. And the Russians and the Soviets basically kicked their asses out of a lot of these major cities that held. And on the Russian side, you have small artillery and tanks, of course, ready and I mean, as ready as they can be to repel an attack. This is a very accurate representation of what a battlefield must have looked like during that time. As soon as the Russians knew where the Germans were coming from, they must have had to deploy their units, deploy their artillery, their big guns and all their tanks and stuff like this. And you already know how that went. I'm not here to give you a history lesson. I'm just here to remind you about the catastrophic failure of the Germans on the Eastern Front. Artillery and rockets. It seems like the Soviets and now the Russians understand that in a battlefield, artillery is king. And behind us we have an example of some rockets, and here we have an older rocket system. But all over this battlefield, you will notice that artillery is present. And in today's modern warfare, artillery is king, like I've said. And if you want to win or sustain an enemy who is attacking, you must have a lot of artillery, and Russia just happens to have a lot. And so here's a view from the Soviet side. The battlefield is now ended. We have made it to the other side. And now we're just walking around seeing what else is left of this awesome museum / memorial. This is a 7.62 blank round here, found on the ground. This is what they're shooting out here at the range. Really funny, huh? Does anybody know what the VDV means? Please comment down below. I've seen this unit in many pictures around Irkutsk, and I think it's really cool. I like their logo. I like what they're about, but I'm not sure what it stands for. Someone let me know, please. What do you think about these armored vehicles? Do you think that these are real, or are they just manufactured to fit the whole museum theme? I'm not quite sure. There's truly something for everyone here. There's even dragons, all types of dragons. Again, this is a museum for the Great Patriotic War, but it's also a place where you can come and see art made from junk metal. A lot of these parts belong to cars or bicycles. It's absolutely cool. Hey, Predator! Predator! We're inside the cafe, and even inside the cafe they have different types of things. You can truly see the different materials they used for making these little guys. Chains, screws, nuts, parts of suspension of a car, some gears. Really, really cool, huh? That seems to be like an alternator fan. Oh, that's funny. Look how cool that guy is with his axe. So this side of the museum seems to be a little bit different, a little bit, whoa, way different apparently, because there's a bear there. What? Was not expecting that. I guess I'm wrong. I guess this is not like a, oh well, it says museum. Let's see inside. Oh, this seems to be all sorts of old household things. Look at this. We're gonna walk around and see what we can find. Inside this museum, there was just way too many things to note. So I will say that if you come inside of this one, take your time. You never know what you're going to find. I enjoyed seeing all the different things that Senya used to talk about that existed in Soviet times. A lot of the things that you'll find in this museum are things that I usually see when I'm looking at the old houses that are abandoned. And so it's pretty cool for me to see that some of the things that I see in the abandoned houses are in this museum now, because it is just a part of history. When I went to go visit Lars, we went to go buy something at a store, and a lady actually was counting with this how much we owed. This is, I guess, an old way of saying counting money back in the old days for the stores, but it was really cool to see it still in action in Gustavsky. For all you guys that like ice skating, let me know, did your grandmother or your father have ice skates like these? These are very old. Ksenia says that her mother gave her her old Soviet ice skates, and they look something similar like these. Look at that. Look, there's a book from Peter the Great here, and our boy Lenin. Very strange to see them next to each other. And whoa, here is an old photograph. This seems to be like 1960s, 1970s, just from what they're wearing, their clothes. Very cool. And this one says 1982. Look at that. Things you'll find in this warehouse with a lot of Soviet stuff. As I'm walking around, I'm recording all these different things that are from another generation, another era. But if you see something that you saw in your childhood, maybe your babushka or your dadushka had some of these things, comment, you know, like if your grandfather or your grandmother had one of these, let me know. If you see something that you recognize from your childhood or that you hear stories about, let me know. I love hearing the interesting stories that you guys have to tell. What television did you grow up watching? Or what television did your grandparents have in their living room? Is it one of these? Does anybody know what this is? This Pac-Mania 555? Is this a real thing? Did anybody use this? What is this Pac-Mania? Is it like a Nintendo for the Soviets or what? If anybody used it, I'm curious. I would be mind blown if somebody leaves a comment saying they played this, because it doesn't look that fun. It looks like the controller was probably some crazy thing like Atari. I don't know. Let me know. Here are all the different types of irons through time. So many, and I still wear wrinkly clothes. Very sad. They have two bears in these cages. This is the smaller one. The bigger one's sleeping on top. I wonder how long he's lived here. Probably all his life. By the way, he's pacing back and forth. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you saw something that you enjoyed. I hope you saw something that brought back memories. If you saw something new, if you're from Irkutsk and you've never been here, do visit. Thank you so much for visiting, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, Senya. Bye. Oh man, she always forgets that she can speak. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Just to clarify, I asked Ksenia to talk, guys, and she has a very soft voice. A lot of people have commented, "You're such a mean man, you never let her speak, you're so mean." But honestly, she speaks when she wants, and we are getting the microphones from America, and eventually when she gets it, she'll feel perhaps more comfortable, so we don't have to yell. Bye.